Hoodie fam, what is going on? We are back with more Maximum Football news. Today, Maximum Football Modus Game Studio put out a responding to beta feedback. I was going to do my video, actually tomorrow, on my beta impression. So we'll talk about it during this video because they're going to go over some of the feedback. I left feedback on the forums. Also, I want to thank everyone for all the love and support you guys showed on these two Maximum Football videos and yesterday's video, the Undisputed game. I'm very excited for that. If you're excited for that, let me know. Maximum Football, though, man, I can't wait. It looks like it's going to come to Steam first. We talked about that in the one video, and then console. I am able to play it on Steam because my computer can handle it, so maybe we'll try to play it on Steam. The controls was a little different because I don't really use the keyboard. I usually play with the controller, so we'll see how that works if I can link the right controller up because I was playing on PlayStation and the buttons were different, obviously, because they had it set to Xbox. Now, maybe in the full release, when it comes to Steam, they'll have it like with the PlayStation, or I'll just use my Xbox controller instead. I guess just got to figure out how to get that connected to the computer, but they did put out a thing responding to beta feedback. Like I said, I left some stuff in the forum. They do go over it in here, and like I said, I'll talk about it. I can't have the sound on. I did try to upload this already, but the music in the background got me, even with pausing like every like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So I do have the captions on so you can read as we go. I'm going to break it down though, of course. So let's get into it. If you're new here and you're ready for Maximum Football and all the other content on my channel, go subscribe, go like, go comment. Really helps the YouTube algorithm. And let's get into it. So it says the Maximum Football Open Beta was a huge success. We'll get into it. The presentation still looks amazing. These uniforms look crazy. A whole bunch of different visors. You got tinted visors. You got dark visors. This guy I don't think has a visor on, but let's get into it. You see him running out. And then you know, they show more of the customization. It says it's a top 50 play game during the Next Fest, which is great. I'm glad it got so much attention. That means they got a lot of feedback. So it also looks here. I was looking at this and I went back to my other video and I didn't see this in the customization in the trailer. Well, the colors are here, right? But I didn't see the finish option for like glossy, chrome, PVD, glittered, pearlescent, Satan. I didn't see that. So I think they added that for like the helmets and stuff, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that. So shout out to them. And it seems like they're really listening. It seems like they really listen, which is crazy because most gaming companies don't. But they're really listening to us, bro. They're really listening. But this is a cool feature. I didn't see that in my last couple of videos, so that's really cool. And they talk about the logo. Okay, so they're going to talk about 6 areas of improvement that they think to lead up to early access. So number 1 is game pace, right? So apparently they talk about, because I have to pause, they talk about when the beta came out, because the beta was out for like 3 or 4 weeks. It was out for a while. I caught it at the tail end. Like the last couple of days I had found out about it. But they talk about how the game pace in the beginning, when the beta dropped, the first beta, the game pace was very different. It was an issue when we addressed with the week 2 beta, but it was very different. They're gonna show you how different it was. It was like more slower and clunky. When I played it, it was good, right? It was good. It was faster. The movement was good. Obviously, there's still room for improvement. As we all know, this is not Madden, this is not NCAA, it's a small company. They're doing what they can, they're working with what they got, and they're working on improving it. So, for what it is, it's good where it's at. They are going to continue to tune it, obviously, because it does need some work. But they do talk about it. So, this is, I believe, the gameplay in the beginning. Yeah, see the original beta. So, you see how it's, like, slow and, like, kind of, like, clunky a little bit? So then they compare it to the second. So updated version is here. You see how he moves a little bit faster though? Like you see how he runs a little bit different and he runs like a little bit better? So like compared to the first one, they ran kind of slow, right? Like they kind of like they moved okay, but like they were slower. And like I like that they updated it. Obviously, like, we can't have everyone be the same speed though, so I think that's what they're trying to work on. But it definitely felt like better in the second one. Obviously, I didn't play it the first time, but just from that comparison, you can tell like the first one felt a little weird. The next thing they talk about is graphics, which I'm kind of surprised because I thought graphics were good, but they're probably just gonna add like more like commentary and stuff like that. So they do talk about that, graphics, animations, and audio. So again, like I said, audio, animations, graphics. I don't really think they're focused more on graphics. I think they're more worried about like the audio and the animations, because they got positive feedback about the visuals and animations, but they still have work to do to bring this up where we want it to be. More of the customization, as part of the graphics. They don't mean like how the game looks, like jersey wise or anything like that. They're talking about like weather effects, how the dirt looks, the particle effects, which we went over in my last video of the weather, because they put out little video clips on Twitter about like the rain, the snow, and this and that, and it looked good. It looked good in the clips, so obviously they're just trying to rework that a little bit and make it a little bit better. I didn't get to experience the weather in the beta because there was only 2 teams, and it was just, you didn't get to experience that because the beta wasn't very in depth. But from the things on Twitter, it looked really good. So they're gonna add to the visual, because they're gonna add it. So they didn't have that, of course, like I said, in the beta, but they are gonna add it. They're also working on full suite of animation still. They're working on that, what they have captured. They're also adding more, and they talk about mocap. They talk about that so they have tons of animations right now, and the animations are good. But they do talk about, I believe it comes up here in a second, actually. Let me play to see. Okay, they talked about it already, but they do talk about how they're working still on more mocap stuff. So we talked about it on Twitter, how they had that one screenshot of them like out like on a field, like the guy was all equipped with the camera and everything, and he was like actually doing like the stuff. He was doing like the kickoffs, he was doing like jumping over down players. So they're probably gonna go back out there to the field and get more stuff with him, or like, who's ever on the team, and do more motion capture stuff and put it in the game, which is fantastic. That's fantastic. And the best part about this so far, they've listened to everything we said. Everyone's wanted commentary, everyone's wanted weather, everyone's wanted more animations, everyone's wanted player control that comes up next. Like, they have listened. Everyone talked about the game pace. Like, they're listening, bro, and they're taking our feedback, and they have their vision, but they're taking our vision with their vision and putting it together. And that's great, because most companies do not listen. Most companies do not listen. They tell you, here's the beta, like Madden, or I don't really know who else has a beta, but like Madden, like for example, they're like, oh, leave your feedback in the forum, and then they just do whatever they want. They don't care about your feedback. They read it, but they do whatever they want. They're actually listening. So they're talking more about EA Access, player control. The control was good. I think just a little bit clunky. A little bit. It wasn't bad. The running needed some work. I will say the running needs some work. The passing is pretty good, but the running needs some work. I believe they touch on that here, but let's see. So the catching is fine. The catching is totally fine. They're talking about smoother controls. The controls were okay. It was tough for me because I was playing with a PlayStation controller, but the controls were okay. They do need to give you more time, I think, to make adjustments on defense. I do think they need more time to make adjustments on defense. They're also talking about more responsive. Now, I wrote this in the forum. So in the forum, this is one of my biggest things in the forum. Now, a couple times I would press Y, right? And it would say Y was to jump, just like in Madden. And my guy wouldn't animate sometimes, both on defense and offense. So they're working on making it more responsive, so when you hit the button, your guy actually jumps. But there are times they do jump. It's just not every time, but they have to work on that. But I put that in the forum. That was one of my biggest things in the forum, because they do jump, but not always. And the other great thing I loved about this game is there's no abilities, and the linebackers actually jump. But they do have to work on when you press Y or triangle, on PlayStation or whatever it is to jump on the keyboard. They do have to work on that a little bit because it is a little off. But they're talking about working on it. They're talking about smoother controls, make the gameplay feel more responsive to user inputs. Exactly what I was just talking about. I put that in the forum. So they must have took, I mean, I don't know if other people did, but that just goes to show that they took my stuff in the forum and they're working on it, and they read it and actually took it into consideration. So they talk about that. Provide user with better tutorials in practice modes to master the controls. So there wasn't a practice mode in the beta, but I know you can go into practicing it. Tutorials, I mean, that's a good thing to work on. Obviously, when the game comes out, there'll probably be a whole tutorial thing. There wasn't that in the beta. But, I mean, it's pretty straightforward gameplay-wise. It's not, like, anything crazy. Like, the controls weren't anything crazy. You know, you had your juke, your spin, your defensive adjustments, pinch the line, spread the line, press coverage, inside, outside coverage, like stuff like that. You could pass commit, run commit, you could audible, stuff like that. So it wasn't anything crazy, but I do like to see that they are working on that to rework it just a little bit and make it a little bit better. The fourth thing we're working on is AI players play calling. This was interesting to me, but it does need a little rework. So, because obviously there's going to be more stuff in the beta, in the game. And I remember, they're talking about coach situational awareness. Now, I remember in the beta, the CPU had the ball. They were at, like, the 20. There was, like, probably, like, 10 minutes left. Now, they had 3 timeouts, and they just let the clock run instead of taking a field goal. So that's kind of what they're talking about here. Because obviously, like, in Madden or, like, 2K, like, at the end of the shot clock, or, at the end of the game, like, they'll call a timeout or intentionally foul because the AI, is smart like that. But not that the AI is bad, but they do have to work on that because, like, they'll just let the clock run out. When I played in the beta, I played a lot of games. And the CPU didn't use their timeouts at all. So I'm glad to see that they're fixing that because obviously you don't want the clock just to run out every time. You want to balance. Like obviously, they can go for it sometimes or whatever, but you do want that balance to where like, hey, there's 3 seconds left. Let's call a timeout to take the lead going into the half or something like that, or get points before the half. So I'm glad to see they are working on that because that was one of the issues in the beta. I really didn't put much in the forum besides like, how they talked about the feedback of the player jumping, like the input. I put in a couple things about weather, how I'd like to see weather, the commentary, and I put in a couple things about like some of the stuff for online mode because I hadn't really touched on that and I hadn't played it. So just a couple things that I would like to see in online mode, like make sure there's not like super glitchy plays. Make sure like if you user someone, you can't just automatically click onto someone else instantly and do something glitchy. So there's a couple things I put in there, but the biggest thing for me was like the players jumping sometimes and reacting, some of the weather stuff. This was a big thing. I didn't think about to put this in there though. Some of the movement, I put in some of the movement, like the running needs to be reworked a little bit. But like I said, they're doing the mocap. So, I'll give it to them, bro. They're trying. For a small company, for another football game, for what they have to work with on Unreal Engine 5, they are trying their best and they're listening. And I support them all the way. The gameplay might not be the best. The UI might look, the menus might not look that good. There's no, like, licensing or anything. And I know it's right around Madden and college football time. But, man, this game, I'm going to show you guys a stat, too. This game definitely has potential, and it just needs to support. But anyways, back to this. So we talked about the AI, so they're working on that. See, clock management at the end of the half, that's what I just touched on in late game situations. I just touched on that because, like I said, they will just let the clock run out. And usually, if you're close to scoring, you don't do that. So they did touch on that, so I'm glad to see. They talked about playbooks. They're improving it. The playbooks were pretty good. And then they're talking about improving the plays available to call as well as the 11-on-11 execution of plays. So probably just the blocking and stuff like that. The playbooks were good though. We used a couple. We used like West Coast. We used like run and gun. We used simple. We used a couple on defense. I thought the playbooks were pretty good. There definitely is a lot of improvement with the playbooks that they can do and stuff like that. They talk about something else with the playbooks also, which is actually really interesting, which I also did put in the forum, I think. Now they look about talking about improving the in-game play art. The play art was good, but like I wish when someone ran a streak, like I don't know if they show it here, right? Like do they show? Okay, yeah. So like the play art is cool, right? Because they're showing the blocking, and like they're showing this guy is gonna swing out. But the problem with the play art is when you pass is like a streak. Like normally in Madden, a streak will go all the way up, right? But their streak like ends like right here. And obviously you know it's a streak because the player keeps running, but the play art needs to show the player like extending the streak out to actually run the whole route. So that's the only thing I suggest they work on, which I think they're going to. But otherwise the play art looks good. You see what I mean? So like here, right? This guy's running a streak. But you... Obviously, you know he's running a streak because it's pointing, the arrow's pointing up. But like in Madden, the streak will go all the way almost to the end zone. So that's what they need to work on. Same with this. They need to put this out. And then obviously this, like the drag is fine. The out route is fine. They just need to work on like the streaks and like the slants and stuff like that. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. The scoreboard still looks the same. You can hot route, call audible, show play R, motion right. You can motion left. Switch players, so you can do all the stuff, you know, there's still all that stuff you can do with that, and then they show some of the, you see how he, like, runs it still, and then lastly, the UI, this was big, and there was a guy, I forget his name, who commented in my video, and was talking about how the UI looks generic. My guy, if you watch this, they are working on the UI for you. They want to make sure it's user-friendly. I thought the UI was pretty good, but it could use some work. It could use some work, definitely. It definitely could use some work. I didn't see anything different about modes or anything in the game. But you know, they are working on that. And then they talk more about customization. And then game pace. So, they kind of just go over everything. So, they got game pace. What does that say? So, game pace. They're working on game pace. Graphics, animation, audio, player controls, AI players, UI. Like, they're working on tons of stuff, and they say, you know, like, hey, like, we got a lot of stuff to work on before early access, before launch. Just basically, they're saying, just give us time. We got your feedback. We appreciate everyone's feedback. We're listening to you guys. We're working on the stuff you want us to with the feedback. Just give us time, and then we will update you guys again soon. So that's pretty much what they say, but... I wanted to go over this because there, you know, in my video there was a lot of stuff about people saying like, oh, this needs work, and I appreciate all the feedback. Well, they are working on as much as they can. They have taken all the feedback and they are starting to sit down, break down as a team what needs to be done and go over it as much as they can. It says, you spoke and we are listening. Here are 6 areas of improvement we're working on for Maximum Football in the lead up to early access. So obviously it's going to come to Steam first and then it eventually come to console. But I do want to show you something just on Twitter really quick because I thought this was pretty interesting. They put it out here, but I thought this was really interesting, and I'm glad they put this out. So they talked about the beta, you know, and how many people played and stuff like that. So there was over 37,000 touchdowns in the beta, over 536,000 tackles. Biggest lead was 69 points. Point differential 9 points. Yards gained 4,235,844. That's the distance from New York to LA. Over almost 18,000 field goals, 3.1 turnovers per game. So I just thought this was cool because, you know, a lot of people played, it looks like. I mean, obviously, you know, a lot of people played, or like me who played a couple games, probably added to the tackles. But to get over 536,000, you had a lot of people play, bro. A lot of yards, over 4 million yards. I mean, that's crazy. But I'm glad to see that it got, like, some attention. You know, I'm glad it got to see attention. When the game comes out, hopefully it gets more attention. The biggest part is that it's free and it's coming to consoles. I feel like if they just released it for PC and it was free, that would be a problem because not everyone has a PC. But they are putting it out on console as well as PC, so that's huge. But that's pretty much it. They didn't really put anything else out. They're just working on... So we're in this stage right now, continued early access development. And then we'll have Steam and then console launch. I don't know if these will come out like close to each other or what will happen there. But I just wanted to go over... I just wanted to go over, you know, what they put out about the beta and how they are working on it. They're working on the stuff. They're taking our feedback. They're listening. This is why I told you in my one video, if you think the game sucks, tell them exactly why the game sucks. Let them know what needs to be worked on. They're clearly listening. They're clearly going to take your feedback. They took my feedback and plenty others. I'm sure other people put in about how when you press Y, sometimes the player doesn't animate or jump. But for me personally, they took that and they are working on it. So they read my feedback. That's what a company should do. Go support them. Play Maximum Football when it comes out for free, even if you play it once. Just give it a try, mess around with the customization, do a dynasty. Hell, even play one-on-one, either online or against the CPU. Just try it, man. I know Madden and college football is coming out, so this game is going to be overlooked. But just, if Madden or college football makes you mad online, go run a game of Maximum Football just for the fun of it. So, that's going to be this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Always remember to follow your dreams. Don't let anyone stop you. Are you hyped for Maximum Football? Are you excited for the changes? Let me know down in the comment section. Go subscribe. Go like. Really helps the YouTube algorithm. And until next time, Hoodie Fam, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.